now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, get us any.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Coast to Coast. I am your host, Pags. I got Bo with me. McLovin to come sometime here shortly. You never know when he's going to pop in. What's going on, Bo?
Just another day. Happy Tuesday to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm getting ready for you to leave to go to Hawaii.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah, it's like I'm like Hawaii is actually pretty good. And of course, like before you get back, I head to Florida. I'm all wrapped up over here. I just realized how much of a mess I made over here. There we go. Much better. And I'll be headed to Florida by the time before you're even back. So we're going to be.
Because you're down there for spring training, right?
I will be for some spring training and some hockey.
Sweet.
So I'm going to be doing a little bit of both. I don't even know if the Sixers are going to be close by, if they go to Orlando or anything like that. In the meantime, so who knows? Maybe I could even catch you in a basketball game while we're down there.
That'd be cool.
But so it's funny. I always wonder what we're going to wind up talking about here in the very beginning of the show, because especially on really slow days, sports days. I mean, the only thing that was really any bit exciting is that, hey, I think it's Jacoby and Barkley are both not going to get the tags. So they're both running. Yeah, the running backs are going to be able to, hit the free agent market and see what they can come back with. And hopefully, we'll see what happens with them. But you mentioned how much the draft and these mock drafts suck.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? That sounds like the perfect segue to get started into, because you know what? Truth of the matter is that I don't even know half of these names in the first place. So when I go to these drafts, I start to pay attention about a week out. And then I start to read about the names that everybody's got, in the top 32. It's like, okay. And then like some of the ones that they think maybe get up there, maybe make it, and honorable mentions, things like that.
So the top 50, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And truth of the matter is that you're right, that ultimately when somebody makes a trade to get up and move up closer to the top of the draft, there's a run on whatever it is they run on.
Yep. And
it's kind of interesting how that works, because of course it's normally quarterbacks, because really quarterbacks are the big deal. And then it becomes like cornerbacks or wide receivers. There usually gets that little bit of run right here. But it seems like this year there's some quarterbacks, there's some receivers, there is a top tier, and then there's everybody else. And it's interesting to me, because when it's everybody else, it becomes a lot more potluck across the board. And I think about what it's like when I go to the drafts. And for instance, our third round pick right now from 2 years ago was Nakobe Dean.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, that's the perfect pick for the third round pick. Of course, Nakobe Dean has had a little bit of a challenge, and everything that they said about him in the draft has come true. Everybody in Philly was excited about that pick.
Okay.
Now they're not. Now they're like, oh, that, it could be a bust, whatever, what have you, blah, blah, blah. And it makes me, it's always great it's always easier to be Monday morning quarterback, especially when it's next season Monday morning. You know what I
Well,
mean?
there's
It's
no
like
accountability at all.
right. And I remember it's like everybody was super excited to get him. Hey, we were trying to get him in the second round. So the fact that we got him in the third round was a steal.
Sure.
Now it's like we wasted a third round pick. And I want to know, like, obviously being a Seattle fan,
Sure.
there are probably some picks that were high draft picks that haven't quite panned out. And uh, one, was that Carroll's fault, or do you blame it all solely on the GM because the GM and Carroll just didn't see eye to eye, or whatever, what have you? Which ones? Which ones in most recent? And I'm going to say most recent in the last 3 years. Right now, look like that they could have been busts.
Oddly, their last few have actually been really good drafts overall. And I give Carroll and Schneider a ton of credit in the way that they work really well together. Now, this coming draft, we're going to find out. but Carroll and Schneider, they actually worked really well together. It was a scenario where some of the guys, one of them liked better than the other, and then they would legitimately talk it out, and then land on whoever felt, whoever could get swayed a little bit to it, right? So it was never I'm enforcing my, because Carroll basically had ultimate control, right? So he had the ability, if he wanted to be like, no, I'm taking my guy. But he was open-minded enough to be able to be like, okay, we'll take your guy. If you think that's the guy, we can do that. So I actually applaud them a lot on doing that. And of course, again, they've actually had some really good drafts. I guess if you were looking at Abraham Lucas as the tackle, he had a really good rookie season, got hurt this last year, had a history of getting hurt. So if he continues to get hurt, then, potentially that could be a bust in that way. But athletically, if he can stay healthy, he's a great tackle. So, that one has yet to be seen, but it won't be his athletic ability. It'll be whether or not he can stay healthy.
Right. Now, and I get that. Like, I know for a fact that the way that the Eagles do things, that when they draft an offensive lineman,
yeah,
anywhere below the second round,
okay,
like if they draft him in the third round, that guy is going to sit for the first year.
sure,
That he's got to go through Stoutland University, is how we call it here in Philly, because we have the best offensive line coach, I think, in football. So, and that's everybody who's ever played for him feels the same way. Opposite teams talk about that coach. You know what I mean? So it's like that's when you are talking about an offensive line coach on other teams, that
yeah,
must mean something. You know what I mean? I feel like that's gotta mean something there. So, and I think that, like I said, so anybody who gets drafted, like I said, third round or lower, is going to sit for some time because they have to learn Stoutland's way of doing things.
sure,
Once they get beyond that, if you're a second round or a first round, there are certain things that happen that make you a bust. Now, we had one, Andre Dillard, who was a first round pick. We moved up a couple of spots to get him. He was from Oregon. I will tell you that I am not the biggest fan of offensive linemen from the pack. It's just,
yeah,
it's not, I know that the pack is offensive based and
yep,
I know that they go up, but the problem is that they don't go up against good enough defenses. And that's the problem there, I think, in the pack, that your defensive line, you're not seeing many people get drafted in the first round from the pack on the defensive line. And
no,
because of that,
it's pretty rare.
yeah, because of that, that's why I don't necessarily agree with choosing an offensive lineman from that conference. Now that of course is going to change because there's only 2 teams in that conference and both of them stink. but but ultimately that was the concern I had. But again, they followed the protocol. They said, okay, we are, our first round pick is always going to be in this order: offensive lineman, defensive lineman, quarterback, or cornerback. That's who they get in the first round. Fifth being wide receiver, if a wide receiver really does make them think. Now, we'll always get judged on, taking Rager over Jefferson.
Of course.
Think about Justin Jefferson being on this team instead of Jalen Rager, who didn't even last 2 years here. Same thing with like Nelson Aguilar going before that. Like they had a bad run on first round wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, that's what, until you had Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith was the right pick. However, two picks later, the Dallas Cowboys wind up getting who's their linebacker? Really good one, Micah Parsons. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So, and we bypassed him. Actually, we traded with the Cowboys to get above the Giants to take Devonta Smith because they were ready to take Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
So that was the year that the Eagles wound up, wound up giving the division to Washington, and then we screwed the Giants again. So we tanked that last game, and Washington wound up winning the division. And then we traded with Dallas to get above the Giants in the pick so that we got the pick that we wanted and screwed them. Both, I think, worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most recent one that was probably it was solidly a bust. And it was again because he could never stay healthy. And that was Rashad Penny, right? That you guys ended up picking up and then never letting him see the field at all. But he was probably the last first round pick that was really just a disappointment. And that's because they kept him for his entire rookie contract. And I mean, he just could never get on the field.
Just because he was injured.
Yeah. He would get injured every year, and, he'd play a couple of games, and that's kind of it. So that was probably the biggest disappointment as of late. And even still, that was a number of years ago. So.
Right. So, but I mean, because obviously he's now with the Eagles, or he was with the Eagles. Who knows where he'll wind up at? I can't imagine that if I'm Rashad Penny that I'd want to come back to the Eagles unless they're going to pay me. But I can't imagine that you're going to make any money here. I mean, it's like it might be worthwhile for you to go try somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you guys didn't put him on the field actually hurts his ability to go anywhere else too. Because it's not like when the Hawks released him, there was a clamoring for him, right? As far as I know, you guys were actually the only ones that actually even were giving him a shot. So, so we'll see if he has a landing spot. Because I mean, there's gonna be guys, right? Like you have all these free agent guys that are going to be available. There's going to be some mid-round running backs that are available in the draft. I don't know if you go after a guy that's been injury prone. That I think his best season he had, I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 games. So I mean, it's not like availability's been on his side. So at this point, he's probably, if he does land somewhere, I'm sure it's one of those veteran minimum kind of deals. But when you think of guys like, Kareem Hunt that's going to be available, Pollard will be available, Henry, Saquon, Jacobs, like all those dudes are dudes, right? Like they can put up yards, and I mean they're going to get a lot more looks way before a Rashad Penny will.
What do you think the market's going to be for a running back.
It is terrible. Like the fact that nobody's even interested in trying to tag any of these guys, like they don't want to sign them. They don't want to tag them. They're just like, hey, best of luck. Hope you make money. But it seems to be sort of a blanket theme across the league. So these guys they're not going to get paid. Near as I can tell, they're not going to get paid. Like these teams seem to be far more comfortable at this point picking up a rookie, running the wheels off them, releasing them at the end of it.
Right. No, and I 100% understand that. It's like, it's why bother spending any money if you don't need to?
It makes you think that the CBA is going to have to change the running back contract because of the amount of wear and tear that goes into that position. Like it almost seems like that rookie contract is going to have to be bigger. Because otherwise, you're just going to have people not becoming running backs anymore.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, it's ultimately, first off, you need to be versatile as a running back anyways. You almost have to act as a wide receiver. And I think that's part of what's going on now. It's like that they want, why pay a running back if you're going to have to pay the wide receivers, and the wide receivers are more of the thing that's going on. However, then you have San Francisco that still uses a fullback, and they went to the Super Bowl. And the Eagles, when they were running the ball, they went to the Super Bowl. So a great running back in some cases is better than having a great quarterback. In San Francisco's part, and Philadelphia's part, I feel like they did have a good quarterback, but that quarterback was also part running back as well to make it to the Super Bowl. So that's kind of part of what occurred there.
Yeah.
But
no, I think that I think they're definitely unfairly getting shafted because the running game is still such a huge part of the game. Like if you're one dimensional, you're not going to go very far. Like your running game has to be successful. Now you do kind of like the league is switching towards the CMC type of running back, right? Who is a hybrid back that is highly effective in the pass game. But all those guys can see where these contracts are going, which is why Deep is like, I am not going to be a running back for you, right? Like I am a receiver, period. Like I will hold out. I will not come. I will not play for you if you're going to make me a running back. And so, then they bring in CMC, obviously. But I mean, that's smart because he basically extended his career by doing that and is going to make way more money by doing that because receivers do get paid.
Right. Well, but again, I mean, he was a great running back to begin with. So, and that's kind of how, like, I guess it's going to be very interesting to see Robinson, Bijan Robinson, and see what happens with him. Obviously, we saw what happened with Barkley. The problem is that when they relied on him too much, he got hurt too often, and that is kind of gotten him into the state that he is in right at the moment. Jacobs, different situation, same result though. Didn't get hurt as much. Was relied on maybe as a good 2/5 of the offense.
Yes.
And the fact that he was bulky and they had a halfway decent offensive line that they could run behind protected him some. So he's got a little bit more.
He has more tread on the tire.
But he's got more tread on the tire, but yet he's got more wear on those tires as well. Bigger tires. So he's still got tread, but it's but definitely a lot more wear, especially than Barkley. You could say Barkley's got tons of tread on the tires. It's just that he gets those puncture wounds all them time on them tires. Yes. You know what I mean? And it's like you're always pulling out nails out of those tires. Eventually you got to get a new tire. I think that's where the Giants are at.
With Saquon, right? That's the biggest trouble with Saquon. It's like you don't have him all year, right? So it's what's the timing of his injury? Like am I going to lose him early and get him back so that I have him for the playoffs, or is it going to be later in the year and then we're just kind of hosed? Or, then he rattles off that one good year, makes Daniel Jones get paid. And then, last year, the offensive line doesn't show up and he gets injured again. So, I mean,
So, yeah, I mean, thinking about that now, let's think about Saquon. If you're a general manager
Yeah.
of a team and you see the climates of running backs right now,
sure,
what type of contract are you offering him?
nothing. That's the thing is you're following the copycat league that is the NFL, and nobody's trying to pay him, which is why guys got franchise
So
tag.
no, but that's kind of what I'm asking though.
Yes,
Now I'm trying to be realistic. I mean, I would offer him 5 years, 30 million, $6 million a year. I think that's
I don't
that's not necessarily a ridiculous offer.
with an out after 2.
Well, I think you're giving him. So ultimately, you're probably giving him 15 million guaranteed. So ultimately, you're going to wind up. You wind up eating that in the first 2 years.
Yeah, well, and that's the way I look at it. Is like you probably, yeah, I could see you giving him something like that, or like a 3-year, like 20 with a, with an out after 2.
Well, you're not giving outs because you just dropped them. You take the
no.
cap.
They're team outs. They're team outs.
Right.
So basically, you're front loading part of it, and then you have a manageable team out after the second year. Because again, I just don't trust him to stay healthy just because he hasn't. I almost feel better about Derrick Henry than I do over Saquon, even though Henry's older, has much harder miles on him. He tends to stay healthier. He's still a problem, right? Like he's a monster of a human. He's probably not the league leading rusher that he's been before, but I would trust him to stay healthy over, say, Saquon. And you could probably get him cheaper.
See, I like this. So the reason why I say that,
it depends on your O-line.
Yeah, I mean, I first off, I like our offensive line. Secondly, I like the fact that they like to bring in a couple of running backs. So if you pay him $6-7 million a year, and you have a couple other running backs that you're paying, like for some reason they still love Gainwell, and I don't know why anymore. I feel like he's definitely jumped the shark there. It's like I think that you could have him touch the ball 18 times a game and it be okay.
Yeah.
And that's, okay, that's what we're doing. We're going to have you touch the ball 18 to 20 times a game. Obviously, we're not going to try to, we don't want to overuse you, and ultimately you're with a good team now. You know what I mean? The Giants stunk. You know what I mean? And their first round pick for their offensive line stunk. You know what I mean? He didn't really cover. He didn't really do what he needed to do. So you relied on your running back to try to protect your quarterback, and you killed your running back in the process. So
yeah, I mean, do you think he plays for something like a $6 million contract though?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think you would either. I wouldn't want to.
I mean, I think that you're going to have to give it a shot, though. You're going to have to think about it. You know what I mean? It's like at least there. That's although it's a hit to your ego. Mm-hmm. It's not completely. It's not a complete. Just screw you. Yeah, we're gonna give you $3 or $4 million a year, and that's that. Like you're giving a little bit of respect to the fact, like, hey, listen, this is the market now. Yeah. Running backs just don't get paid. If you think you're CMC, then you have to prove CMC. And then, hey, listen, I would give you a 1 year show me. I'd give you a 1 year, maybe 8-9 million.
Sure.
Guaranteed $9 million 1 year. End of story.
Well, and I could see that for you guys for sure. Right? So, like I could see that for a team like the Eagles that has a good offensive line and needs
a better running game. Yeah, they need a better running back.
Right. They need an upgrade there. And
I liked Swift, but he wasn't. I liked Swift, but I think Swift was good in the beginning of the season and then got tired or just they saw something for the reason why they weren't using him more frequently.
Yeah.
And running the ball seemed to be what happened. When we won, we would run the ball.
Yeah.
So why not run the ball? Why did our offensive coordinator continually feel like we needed to throw the ball? That was because he was trying to protect the running back. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That makes no sense. Yeah, especially because you had some depth there that never saw the field, right? So I mean, yeah, I don't know. Obviously the Eagles had just some weird things down the stretch anyway, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know what these guys get paid at this point. I mean, the dollar figure doesn't really make sense, which is why I think they're going to have to do something to maybe increase what they get as rookies to keep running backs coming into the league.
Well, the league will adjust. Obviously, everything happens, for the way it's supposed to. So it's going to wind up adjusting. Right now, the wide receiver is getting more money than the running back, and that's fairly a new thing. You know what I mean? That's now changing. That's kind of changed over the last 5 years, even. It was like before you'd have the one wide receiver, like the TO or those monster receivers that were great and they got paid, and every other receiver was just everybody else. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, these guys, you had the elites, then you had the second tier. At the second tier, there was a big drop off in money. Now that second tier, it's become like a pitcher in baseball. Even the bad pitchers can go through arbitration, and if they have an ERA of 4, 4 is now considered the new 3. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is.
I know. Yeah, it's dumb, but yeah.
So that's kind of what occurs. And ultimately that the wide receiver now price has gone up. That's why the running back position has come down. That will change again over time. It's going to take some time to do it because everybody is going right now pass. There's going to be a couple of teams. Huh?
I think it'll be a while before it tries to come back around just because the league is so interested in points.
Right. But again, that's where, a running back, will be able, like I said, if you have a good running game, you win games. It seems like every year the team with the best running attack is going to win the most regular season games. Playoffs become a little bit more of a challenge, obviously, just ask the Ravens, but ultimately, and the reason why they lost.
And in the run, sure.
Right, exactly. They decided that, they think that we're going to run the ball, so let's pass. Yeah. Let's throw the ball in the end zone rather than run it in the end zone, or let's do that one play and lose the Super Bowl on it, on the pass instead of running the ball. Those are the things that occur. And there you have it. You're like, all right, well then you wind up losing. End of story.
No, the running game is still such a huge piece of the game. Like that's where I have a hard time with them short sheeting running backs is ultimately, especially once you get to the playoffs, you have to have a running game. If you're a one-dimensional team, can you win in the regular season? You can. You can rattle off some wins, but you get to the postseason, everybody's defense is good, right? Most of those teams will have a running game. And the ones that don't generally progress.
Right. But, ultimately they gotta use the running game. Yes, Ravens. Yes, Ravens. I'm talking about you. Because ultimately you need to do that. Even in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Niners stopped.
They stopped running the ball, and you know what? The Chiefs continued to run the ball.
Yep.
So ultimately, and not even very effectively. They weren't even really doing great with running the ball, but it was good enough.
Yeah, it was good enough. You had to respect the fact that they were running, right? It's not like you shut them down. They were still able to get some yards, whatever. That's where the Niners approach made no sense to me at all. You basically, Yeah, I mean, you basically didn't run the ball in the third quarter. I think they ran it 3 times, something like that, 3 or 4 times.
Maybe.
Like that makes absolutely no sense, especially because you went into that quarter with the lead. Why wouldn't you hammer that running game that had been working awesome all day and chew up clock and preserve a lead? Like none of it made sense. Now, obviously there were some mistakes along the way, right? They had a fumble. They had the punt return that went off a guy's foot. I mean, there were obviously problems, but the play calling really didn't make sense. Like if they were down by 25, sure. Yeah. You abandon that run game because you're trying to catch up. But if you have the lead, like what are we doing?
Yeah, you definitely you become more, hey, run on first down. Let's see where we're at to consider what we do on second down, and then throw on third down if we need to. You know what I mean? That's. But ultimately, especially when you got the lead, it's the one thing that I would have done is I would have made sure to use all 40 seconds of the clock. Like,
Absolutely.
okay, it's like, okay, we're waiting. Hut. We're down to 2-1 hike. You know what I mean? Let's do it. Let's now, because again, you want to run off at the very least, especially when you got the lead, 120 seconds.
Yep.
2 full minutes off the clock. Because
Absolutely.
then you got to punt the ball back. So at the worst case scenario, you've had the ball for 2 minutes.
Yep.
They didn't do that. But then again, Shanahan always outcoaches himself in the Super Bowl.
There is no doubt. Yep.
So I mean, that's kind of part of what happened there. But I say, I hope that he gets some money. I think that the Eagles really are going to probably make a play at him, and it might be even a little bit higher. I mean, it's like, at what point do you think that it's worthwhile there? $8 million? If you're a running back and you're getting offered $8 million right now, is that
I
worth
think
it?
you take that. I think you take
So,
an $8 million offer. Because I don't know that you're going to get anything more than that.
I'm going to just see who is right now. I'm saying who right now is the highest paid. Well, Christian McCaffrey just signed a $64 million extension in 2020. But let's see how much does a running back make right now? On average, running backs make 1.8 million.
Yeah, it's right there with kickers.
Right. Actually, the average kicker is making more.
Yeah. Well, that's because there's some running backs that are on rosters that are, third string guys that aren't making anything. But still, there's a bigger pool. But that being said, I mean, it doesn't say good things. So, I mean, when you're talking about the top guys, it's still, because what McCaffrey's is up after this season, I think. So he's going to be back looking for a contract again as well.
All right. So here it is. Here I got it right here from Yahoo Sports. We'll give them a shout out since they're the ones that are giving me this. It is Christian McCaffrey at $16 million. Alvin Kamara at $15 million. Now, this was last year. This is the 2023 salary.
Okay.
Derrick Henry at 12.5. Trubb at 12.2. Aaron Jones at 11.5. Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, and Josh Jacobs were at 10.1. Running back James was $7 million, and then Miles Sanders at $6.4 million. So that's your top 10. 16, 15, 12.5, 12.2, 11.5, 10.1, which gives you all the way down to 8. Then there's a $3 million drop from Jacobs to James, and then Miles Sanders at 6.4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, so realistically, I mean, just looking at those numbers, because out of those people, there was a lot of free agents on that list.
But Jacobs was a tag, right? And then Saquon basically was a tag because they tagged him and then they signed him to essentially guarantee what the tag was. So,
Right.
So, I mean,
So, but it was like 10.1, 10.1, and then Pollard was also 10.1. So I guess
Yeah.
that was what the tag was.
yeah,
Ultimately, CMC, I believe, deserves the 15 million or the 16 million because he was a third of the offense.
yeah,
And that's I agree with that. You're supposed to spend, if you're a third of the offense, you should get upwards of $15 million, 15 plus, that's that 15 million for you, 15 million for the number one receiver, 15 million, for your number two receiver, a roundabout, uh, 20 million for your offensive tackles and 50 million for your quarterback. Now that's the numbers now, right?
yeah,
Because that's, you have to be somewhere around 125 million, 130 million dollars for your offense. That's where you're spending your money.
pretty much.
So 50, so now you're down to 80 out of the 80, so now you got 15 and 15 for your running back and your wide receiver at 15 million each. We're going, so yeah, now you're down to 50 million. 20 million on your tackle, your one tackle, 10 million on everybody else on that line, or 15 million because you really want to have a good line. It's a lot. It's a lot. Maybe you go heavy on the offense and you let your defense suffer a little bit if you're doing it 50-50 on either way.
Well,
But
and it's funny though, because like, to Albert's, point here, Eckler was a third of the offense for the Chargers. And they spent a ton of money on that defense that was useless. So,
right.
Sometimes it doesn't hit.
Well, but that also goes like the one thing that you could say about the Chargers, if you looked at their season, the time of possession average was somewhere in that 26 minutes.
Yep.
So if you're thinking about it like that, when you're paying 34 minutes a game, you're going to get tired. That
There's no doubt.
defense is going to get worn down. I mean, that was the problem with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly would be like, hey, listen, we had more offensive plays than any other offense, but we were only out on the field for 18 minutes a game. That
Yep.
means you had 42 minutes of, defense out there. And
That
well,
only works
after
if
40,
scoring.
yeah, you got to continue to score and score and score and score and score. And that kind of works. You know what I mean? That's why it makes sense because initially they were scoring.
Yep.
We had a Nick Foles that went 27-2.
Yep.
2 interceptions for the entire season, and he was able to do that. That type of offense that kind of just was able to continually work.
Yep.
But how many times did they go 3 and out, and the defense? It was less than 20 seconds. That was run off because it was pass it complete, pass it complete, pass it complete.
Yep.
Now nothing. So
yeah, I mean that was something that towards the end of the Wilson era here in Seattle, we ran into a lot of was a lot of 3 and outs.
Frankie, you must have just joined us because that's all we've been talking about.
Yeah, exactly. It's been the whole show so far.
Yeah. In fact, we mentioned all of those guys by name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, maybe you have to just rewind a little bit. But welcome to the show, Frankie. All those things. Do you think anybody is going to go to New England? Are you even a fan of New England anymore now that Tom Brady and Belichick is gone? I know that you like to bandwagon off to the next team, so I kind of figure you're going to be a Chiefs fan now. I like busting Frankie's balls. You're going to remain them no matter what. Okay. So in mayo you trust. Yeah, I like mayo on my sandwiches.
not even there.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm interested to see what occurs with this, and like out of all of them, like it's going to be tough because you want the first one to sign because that's who's going to set the market. Is it
Yeah.
going to be Barkley? Is it going to be Jacobs? If Pollard signs anywhere, I don't think he sets the market. I just
Yeah, I don't think Henry does either. I think
right.
Henry is probably one of the guys that you can pick up for like 5 or 6.
Actually, truth of the matter is, I would love to have both. If you could swing it, give $6 million to Henry and $6 million or $8 million to Saquon Barkley, and put them both. Have them be your tag team duo.
Imagine running split backs like that.
That'd be amazing, would it not? Like
It
that,
would.
all of a sudden, you'd have some real thing. You could go back into a wishbone formation and
100%.
really start to go crazy with that. So,
Absolutely.
those are things that could absolutely occur. And thinking about it, like again, you got CMC making 16 million. So if you paid 1.8 and the other one 6, you could absolutely kind of
So
justify it.
they that'll be, I don't know what, I'm curious to see next year when CMC's contract comes up at what kind of drop
Well,
ends up
he had, yeah, but he got just an extension in 2020 for 64 million. Well, I mean, I guess so. That's up next season.
yeah
I
it
got to
should be.
imagine they're going to have to. That's he's not going to make it to that. You wouldn't even risk that.
I mean, man, I don't know the way that they are doing running backs at this point. I'm curious what it is what that's going to look like. Like that's going to be very probably kind of crazy. Now
Maybe.
he is versatile, so it's different, right? Like he's going to command more money with the way the NFL is today than a Derrick Henry will, right? Henry isn't exactly the best receiver out of the backfield. He has his ability to throw touchdowns, but he's got that jump pass down like nobody else. But yeah, I mean he's not a great receiver, and that definitely seems to be what is required out of your running back position at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to catch the ball, and that's another part of the reason why Saquon's not so great either. I mean, he's got some hands, but not great hands. You know what I mean? So it's
got to hit him square in the hands. Like he's not going to reach out and grab something and make any kind of special catch. Like it
got
has
them
to be
T-Rex arms.
Yeah,
he's got them T-Rex arms.
100%. Yeah, and so Albert, there's no way that Barkley is going to the Cowboys. And why I say that is even with the increase in the cap, they're still like 20 million over the cap. So they're not going to have another 10 million for a guy like Barkley.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, that's not a real thing.
Yeah, not having him.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there was ever a window, I guess it opened a little bit because you have a different coaching staff now. But the fans would hate it. The fans would be really mad if he came back. So I don't foresee that being a real thing.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, to answer your question, Brad, because Brad loves us to talk about more baseball. Yeah, I haven't heard anything other than the fact that their agent has been crying. He has been crying a lot. He's, they're not paying these players. Like that's what he's doing. He sounds like a sheep out there. Like he's just crying. He's just a pain in the ass. And I think that's part of the problem. That is absolutely part of the problem. They're not going to spend the money that he wants. And that's Scott Boris's problem.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he is down to the Yankees and the Angels. And ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go to the Angels. I think he would go to the Angels just because I think if he liked the Yankees, he'd go there. He'd be there already. He would have already signed. So I don't think he's going on there. Yeah, and exactly 150 million, which Scott Boras feels is not enough. And that's I agree with the teams. The teams are it's finally you're getting the pushback on the agent. That's the problem. Scott Boras has been fleecing these teams for years. And that, half of the players that he has suck. They just suck. You know what I mean? It's just but he's going to take every penny. Want to try to suck up all that money. Well,
Hey, that's his
teams are
job.
not.
That's his
Yeah,
job.
well, no, and listen, God bless him. You know what I mean? That he was able to do all of that. But Major League Baseball is now clapped back. I mean, we found out it's been all over Philadelphia that Philadelphia made the largest uh, offer to Yamamoto.
Mm,
Uh, that they offered, from what we understand, it was close to $400 million. 15-year, 400 million. So he wound up signing for 12 years, 325.
yep.
Yep. But doing it for 400 million means that they would have had to give close to 70 or 80 million dollars to Japan
Yeah.
to bring him here.
Yep.
Um so that would have been a big deal as well. But he didn't want to come here,
Yep.
and it's mostly because they don't, you know, the Japanese people, they're fan of the Dodgers. They're fan of Seattle
Yeah.
because they've had Japanese players on their team.
Yeah.
Anaheim, same situation. There's Anaheim jerseys all over the place because of Otani.
Yep.
So that was one of the things that I was listening to today, is that because of all that, East Coast teams have really no chance of getting Japanese players until they're already here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Then they
I
can
mean,
trade more. Sure.
yeah, Hideki Matsui, obviously was, a Yankee, but he doesn't have the clout anymore. You know what I mean? It's just not as big a deal. And he doesn't have that type of pull to be able to get somebody in here.
Well, and even somebody that did have all of that in Ichiro, he went there, but you know, he wasn't pulling more players.
No, Ichiro wasn't. Well, he could have while he was there,
Yes.
but there wasn't anybody who really stood out.
Yeah.
In fact, from what I understand, the ones that did stand out were American players playing in Japan.
Mm.
So you went over there, and all of a sudden you're doing great over there. And I look at, you know, I would love, and it won't ever happen because the seasons are too askew. I would love, maybe that would be a great all-star game. To have a 3-game all-star series of Major League Baseball versus Japanese baseball.
I think that'd be fun. I'd watch that.
That would be a great, they're all stars, they're all pros versus our all pros.
Now, on their end, would that include their players that are on MLB rosters? Kind of like
No,
the Olympics?
no,
Okay. So they're
no. This isn't the World Classic.
yeah.
This is Japanese baseball versus American baseball.
Yeah.
In a
I
3-game
think that'd be fun.
series for have a week off for the All-Star. I tell you, that would probably bring in some worthwhile stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you could even do it. You could even do.
I mean, ratings for that would be really high.
I agree. I worldwide,
No,
I believe.
yeah.
So I those are the things I think that would really be worth it. I think the World Classic does work. In the preseason, I like it when that occurs, but no, it can't happen in Williamsport. It's not going. We're not going to do it there at that small stadium. It would have to be. It would have to be in a monster stadium. It would have to be in something that would be able to hold 60, 70,000 people. Williamsport can't hold like 5. But ultimately, like, there again, it's like you're going to have a 3-game series. Do you want to have? Maybe they want to play it over there in Japan. You know what I mean? Or, if you're going to do that once every 3 years or once every 4 years, You have it. All right, this year we're going to play it in the United States. This year we're going to play it in Japan, and pick the team that it's going to be at. Like, okay, this is where we're going to be playing it at, and you know, it's going to be in Philadelphia this year. 4 years from now, it's going to be in Tokyo. 4 years after that, it's going to be in Texas. Then 4 years after that, it's going to be in um, another place in Japan. I don't know many Japanese. I don't know many of the. I was thinking of Okinawa. You know what I mean? Where the Karate Kid was from. That would be kind of cool to see where that whole thing happened. But other than that, I think that would be something worthwhile. That would be something fun that baseball does. I mean, again, we talk about how these all-star games suck. You know what I mean? And that's where I think that would change that thought process. It would become a matter of pride. It's like, you're going to let the Japanese league beat us? No. No, 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 no. You know what I mean? And that's so I kind of dig that. Or, actually, I mean, because ultimately you have two teams anyways, you could have like split squad games. They have all two teams on All-Stars, I assume. We have two teams on All-Stars. You play All-Star games over there, you play All-Star games here. That actually works out better. Now you've got not the AL versus the NL. You just literally split squad them. Everybody's in the pool. This is going to be one team. This is going to be the other team. They do the same thing, and ultimately, bam. It's kind of works out. Kind of works out great. See, where is Major League Baseball when I need them? Like, hey, listen, I told football that they needed to go to the touch system, and they did. I'm still waiting for them to get a hold of me to let me know, hey, listen, we are going to do the fan situation. You know what I mean? Again, you're bringing back in the fan to the All-Star games. Nobody cares. Nobody cares right now. So that's kind of the fun part of that. Like, let's bring the fans back in. I'll actually mention it to Roger Goodell for football. I will. I'll actually. I always grab Roger's ear for a minute. He does talk to me for a minute. The last conversation we had, he had with me, I go, "How you doing, good, Roger? Great, good job this week." And he goes, "Do you fucking sleep with that shit on your face?"
I could see him saying that.
and I said, "No, it messes up the pillowcases."
Yeah, no doubt.
But that was an actual conversation that I had with him. You know what I mean? And just like when I go to take a picture with him, I told him the last time, I'm like, hey, Roger, I need to borrow the company jet. It's like, what? Because everybody goes up and everybody boos him, but they all kiss his ass. They all kiss his ass.
Of course.
You know what I mean? When you go up. So I don't ever need to boo him. I don't need to boo him. Yeah, Roger, I'm not like everybody else. I need to borrow the company jet.
Right? Well, and the thing that's funny is he actually does a decent job at what he's supposed to do, right? Like his job is to
as far as commissioners go, he's the best commissioner in sports.
Sure.
Without a doubt. I can't stand Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman sucks. He sucks at his job. The baseball commissioners have been poor, have just been poor. I would love, obviously he's going to retire here in 8 years or 5 years, the baseball commissioner. I would love for John Middleton to go up for it because I believe that he loves baseball and he understands some of the things that need to occur. He also understands he's an owner and these owners need to make money. So I get that too. You have to have that concept, but you got to bring it back to the fans.
And that's something that, Goodell does very well, right? Like he keeps the sport moving, but he makes the owners money.
Yes. Yes. And listen, he's great at burying bodies.
Yes.
He is amazing at it. That's the one thing that you could say is that there is always stuff that happens in the NFL.
Yep.
And in 2 weeks, you don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. And that's if it lasts that long.
Yeah, exactly. So
half the time it's a single soundbite and that's it.
So basketball, the reason why I don't like Adam Silver is because he gives them it's the inmates running the asylum there. And that's the problem. They can't figure out a way. Like, yeah, exactly. Thank
Yeah,
you. I
that's what
think,
I was thinking, Frankie.
yeah, they can't figure out a way to get control back, and that's the problem. Like
He's
they
actually just kind of all the
absolutely,
annoying. He's kind of all the annoying parts of Stern.
yes, yes.
Honestly, he's all the annoying parts and none of the parts that actually got anything done.
So, and I think, like I said, they need they need a commissioner that is, you know, yeah, like like Trump almost. And I'm not making it political, but it's
Yeah,
like but you need somebody who's like a no nonsense, maybe somewhat full of shit. You know what I mean? But no nonsense. This is how we're going to do it from here on out. And if you don't like it, tough. And get that kind of thing, that vibe going for a little while. I think that it's been too much for the you know the players have gotten away with way too much.
no, I'm with you there.
So
Yeah,
I mean, ultimately, it's um yeah. I mean, I think that I said out of all the commissioners, Goodell is the best. I feel like he's by far the best at what he does. And like I said, you can boo him all you want. Obviously, you boo every commissioner.
yeah.
Gary Bettman gets booed. I can't stand Gary Bettman. I think again, he doesn't know hockey. Like he doesn't know what's best for hockey.
Yeah. See, so this would be cool because we'd get the Sonics back right away. if I was going to
Maybe.
if I was going to be the NBA
Maybe.
commissioner,
I would think more on
that'd be
Pat
interesting.
Riley. Pat Riley
Yeah.
being different. Although I think he's too egotistical, Pat Riley. And I think that it would be too much for him. Hey, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me.
Well, I mean, you wanted a guy that was a little bit full of shit and full of himself, right? So, I mean,
Well, no, but I also want him to be able to lay the law down, and I don't think he would do that. I think that he would be, oh, I'm going to use this to my advantage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would.
yeah, it'd be more
It would.
self-serving. Yeah.
Yeah. So
with
exactly, self-serving is better suited there. But I mean, I obviously there is. We got 5 years anyways stuck with this guy. In baseball, and who knows? Maybe he watches the show.
I don't know. What's the over-under on that?
I would say no. So, anyways, that being said, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to take our station identification break. Maybe Jay will be back with us on the way back, but if not, we will still be continuing the second as on cue, almost as on cue. He shows up just in time for us to take our station identification break. So we will be back momentarily.
That's how you keep him from talking for another 2 minutes.
Exactly. For the second hour of Coast to Coast. Be back shortly.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, from Brooklyn.
Hey, get any?
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, No thanks, not my thing.
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Sometimes, all you need to change your life is a sign. A sign that says, Hank, this is the place you've been looking for. And sometimes that sign is an actual sign that's mounted to a building. 1 second, I'm looking at a sign. I know what you're thinking, and no, I don't love B-dubs just because I'm a buffalo with wings. Frankly, that's offensive and reductionist. Cause this place, come on. It's like they took beer and made it into a place and then gave that place sports and chicken wings. And the people? Cuba. The best. Oh! What the is going on, Marty? This isn't a game. This is trivia. Yeah, this place is kind of like heaven. You know, without needing to get hit by a bus. Let's go sports bar.
Supporting the needs of our veterans. That's the goal of all of us at Team AmVets. Like Mitch, Carlos, and Kevin from our Welcome Home team that brings furniture to our vets.
We are Team AmVets.
Or Linda from our thrift stores who brings you great bargains every day.
I am Team AmVets.
And John, who picks up your thrift store donations that support California veterans programs.
I am Team AmVets.
Visit our website or a Team AmVets thrift store to donate or shop today.
Join the team!
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And we are back for the second hour of Coast to Coast with all three of us here. And, still waiting for Buffalo Wild Wings to come out and sponsor us, but we are working on it. We are working on it as best as we can.
Yeah, where are they at? I want some of those today.
Yeah, me too, man. I think with Pag's back, though, ibuprofen might be a good one to come on.
So we talked about that briefly. My back is a little better today. A little better. Not tremendously better, but I am, I'm on the road to recovery. I have a couple of, pillows that I'm got working in my back right now.
He's got one of those.
Hey, I don't know. In fact, I don't know if you got it maybe already in your topics of stuff to discuss today, but if you don't, can we put in there? I'd like to talk about that Wembanyama 38 blocks in the month of February, and more so, I'd like to talk about him in the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year. Honestly,
all right. I mean, start.
Okay, cool. I don't know. All right. Well, that's great.
You're talking about it already.
Well, yeah, because I didn't really get a chance to, and I wanted to talk to Pax earlier, but he was unavailable. But he was probably doing things. But no, so Wemby has got 38 blocks just in February alone, which is more than 9 other NBA teams as a team combined. So I mean, and I'll be the first guy. I really wanted Wemby at first, but then I thought about it. I was like, well, his frame. I'm seeing Chet Holmgren get hurt. Can he really do the job at the center spot? And now I'm like, my God, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be a bust. Because there's so much hype. There's so much hype built up around Wembanyama that I didn't know. Number one, could he handle the pressure? Number two, could he actually come out and do the job? And then number three, how would he adjust to the lifestyle of the U.S. and everything that goes along with that? Because he's a young kid. But he's not only has he done it, but he's crushed it. I mean, there's nobody 38 blocks a month of February, which is killing everybody else. Not only is he not a bust, but I mean, I don't know how he doesn't get Defensive Player of the Year just on his stats alone, which is incredible. I mean, he's the first 5-5 guy where he's got over 5 of every single category, including I think steals was in there. I mean, the guy is just
5
tearing
blocks,
up
5 steals, 5. Yeah, he had 5 at least. He had 30 points, I think. 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, 5 assists, and 5 steals, I think it was. He was
Which
the
is
first.
just
He was the first one ever to have that.
Well, and him getting Defensive Player of the Year makes total sense because he's the only one in the league playing defense anyway.
I mean, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Not by any means of the manager. Well, I think even the All-Star game, even though I know it's a joke game, was still higher than any other All-Star game. So that even tells you how much they carried it that forward into fruition.
Almost 400 points in an All-Star game is the dumbest thing. Just period. Like it's stupid. I don't want to watch that.
So just so you're tracking, total blocks in the month of February, Wembanyama was at 38. The Bulls were at 36. The Knicks at 35. The Kings at 35. The Clippers at 34. Blazers at 26. And the Heat at 23. And collectively, he out-blocked all of them. Crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Well, it's kind of interesting, though. He had a triple-double the 12th with 10 blocks.
Yeah.
Like that's how he had a triple-double. He had 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 blocks. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Seriously, that's freaking crazy. And of course, now they didn't get the win on a couple of those, unfortunately. But, it's just a matter of time for Wemby and Papa to put that team and get that team where it needs to be before I think that's going to be the next big team. As long as he's a center piece and he stays healthy and he doesn't fall to the way of the injury bug, that's a huge cornerstone to really build your team around. I mean, for a long period of time, because he's only 19, 20, something like that. I mean, this guy's got a long time in the NBA.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is he can hit the damn 3-point shot. I mean, he literally, is an all-round 5-tool guy.
Yeah, I never really want my 7+ footer jacking up threes. Like, it's great that he's able to, but there's these rebounds that I'd like that guy to go get.
I'm with you on that too. But when you have a guy though that has that ability, that has that in his toolbox, like a Joker, because that's what Joker has in his toolbox, right? Passer, scorer, outside scorer, inside guy. I mean, he could, he's right in that line. So if you got that in your toolbox, hey, more power to you.
No, I'm with you. And I agree with Frankie here. The All-Star game has been trash since Silver became the commissioner. And there's a lot of things about the league that has become trash since Silver became the commissioner. It's why we have these new 65-game rules and anti-flopping rules and all this other dumb stuff that they're implementing, is because there's nothing that keeps them, or the in-season tournament. There's another dumb thing that's happened.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Truthfully, the only part of the All-Star game, I used to like the slam dunk contest. I really did. I used to like watching all the different things that they could, creatively come out of the box with. But now that I've seen the way that competition has gone or down, as I should say, now I really get involved in the skills challenge. I think the skills challenge for me is really the only part of the All-Star game that I actually like to watch.
Well, and even that wasn't good this year. Like you had one of your players decide during one of the skill challenges, hey, I'm just going to jack up and miss horribly all of the skills challenge with my left hand.
Yeah.
Right?
And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it seems to me like, these generational talents that are coming along now in the world of, and I'm just going to use basketball, stay in that category. In the world of basketball, with what Wemby is doing, in his early, career, and then what Caitlin Clark is continuously doing over there, in the female side of basketball. I know she's at the college level, but I think she's going to be an absolute beast once she gets to the pro level. Sure. But, what she's doing over there, I think is Iowa, it's just, these are like literally generational people that are now the new crop of that, coming up. And it's fun to watch. It really, even though I know Cheryl Swoops doesn't like it, that's okay, Cheryl. We still got the first 4 consecutive WNBA titles in Houston, even though we're not a franchise anymore. You can always claim that.
Well, that was a nice little soliloquy you had there.
Every once in a while, Pags, not all the time, because that's a lot for my brain to process. Every now and then. I will give you a nugget. Not a lot.
His wife wrote it. Let's be
honest. Hey, man, can I just have one damn time? Yeah, she wrote it, but can I have the one?
But anyway, so that's what you had to say about Wemby?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot to say, though. I mean, that's not easily just to be passed off. I mean, I really think this guy, we're in 10 years from now, we're going to be, I think he's going to be the guy, that we're going to look back on that career,
I mean, that's my biggest worry on him is, can he stay healthy?
And it's mine too. And I think that's really the biggest thing for him is that one particular thought. Can he stay healthy?
Well, and that's been a problem with all of the guys that have been that height, right? The guys that have been
by the way, I did have one other thought. And to caveat to what we were talking about the other day about the court storming, it was brought to my attention that what if we just put like a 5-minute clock up? And as soon as the game is over, and of course you'll announce this before the game, look, there's going to be a 5-minute clock. And during that 5-minute countdown, Whoop That Trick will be played. And when it hits 0, everybody that doesn't want to participate in the court storming can have time to vacate.
I don't think it works.
Yeah, that totally doesn't work.
But good thought.
Yeah, it was just a thought. But what I have heard coming down the pipe, which is in the rumor mill, is that what the NCAA is possibly going to do is they're going to scan the student IDs when you come into the game. And then whoever is involved, and I don't know how they're going to do this, but whoever is involved in the court storming will then be fined through the university. And then, of course, the court ID or their student ID would be the way they fine them. And they're gonna fine the students that storm the court.
I mean, don't they they got cameras in there? They're
they'll fine them. Trust me, they'll figure it out. I'm just trying to. They're not going to catch everybody. You can't tell me they're going to catch you. They'll get a few, right? They're going to get the slow kid, the one kid that should have ate too many donuts that couldn't get out in time. They're going to get that kid or several other kids, right?
They're going to get the best kid. They're going to get the ones that are first on the court because you have the best view.
Possibly. I mean, it depends on how fast he runs that 40.
Well, no, that's the thing. The faster you are, the more screen time you'll get.
Well, that's true. And you're right. And once you're on the camera, you're on the camera,
Exactly. Yeah, it's like running a red light with the
But that's what they're talking about doing, Taz. They're going to find the kids at the university level, whatever dollar amount they're going to assign to it. And the way that they're going to catalog this is through the scanning of their student IDs. Yep. Interesting. Okay. Because, you hit a college kid that maybe is not on scholarship or doesn't come from a wealthy family, that money probably is going to hurt them. Maybe he doesn't go to Notre Dame next year. Maybe he has to go to, bum cup college out in Indiana that nobody knows about. Hey, why are you here? Weren't you in there? Yeah, I was, but I stormed the court and I have no more money left, so now I'm here with you.
Look at you just out here singling out an entire area to hate this show.
I just
You're really
that
trying
one
to build
up.
that haters show for yourself. I got you. I like what you're doing. I respect the hustle.
Hey, look, I'm Scottish. I don't care about the Irish. Let them burn.
Paul, we did talk about that yesterday, actually. Cam Newton getting jumped.
I did see more of that. And I'm glad that there have been I saw a video with Matt Leinart saying something about this and that. There should be some more people that come and come to his protection here. Not that he needs it, like I said, he did hold his own without throwing a punch and stuff like that. He kind of did things the right way here. And I really do appreciate stuff like that because he really said he doesn't have to do half of this stuff. And the way that he has been being treated by this is absolutely ridiculous. It really is ridiculous
yes. Well, especially when you think of the fact that he's hosting these things, right? Like he's hosting these 7-on-7s, and the fact that these kids show up and rather than being respectful and trying to actually learn, they routinely talk shit. Right? I mean, you've seen videos over the years of these kids, saying crazy, wild things to him. And you're just like, why did you even come to this camp?
Right.
I mean, you should be there. whether you like Cam Newton as a player or not, he was still a league MVP. He got to a Super Bowl. He's achieved a lot of things that, you know, even guys that are still in the league are never going to achieve, right? So the fact that these kids will show up to these camps and say just wild things is amazing to me, because if I had one of these camps as I was a kid, right, and one of these, like a former league MVP came and was going to host the thing, and I could get into that, I'm going to be trying to absorb every piece of information I can.
Right. I mean, the guy's literally using his reputation to help your kid get better, and you want to go out there and try to beat him up. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, it's crazy. And this is the first time that I've seen it where it became a fight. But you know, there's been videos through the years of these kids talking all kinds of crazy to him, and you're just like, man, what? Like, shouldn't you be there trying to get as much information out of this guy that is?
I'm surprised he doesn't just pick up and walk. Like, hey, listen, you know, I was doing this for you guys, but since you guys are a piece of shit, I'm out.
And here's what I mean? Here's what I wanted to point out yesterday. The only thing I could think of is did Cam Newton maybe say something offensively? Because look, a lot of these kids around the I've been around the Atlanta area, you know, around some of the outskirts area, the not so nice parts of Atlanta. And some of these kids may be coming up through that area that maybe they're not used to being talked to, or if they are talked to in a certain kind of way, regardless of who you are, maybe they just going to come at you. Now, it's certainly not right. Again, to Pags and Bo, I agree with everything you're saying. Trust me, I do. I'm just trying to think of why they did what they did. And maybe they just weren't used to, regardless of your hype and who you are, you're not going to talk to me a certain kind of way, regardless, right?
So here's the thing with that, is if it was an isolated incident,
right,
I could even get down with that. But this has happened numerous times in different camps. Like, it's just something that they feel like they are entitled or able to do, which again is crazy to me. But I mean, at some point, you have to think that Cam's going to be like, you know what, enough's enough. I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Right.
Like, you know, so I don't know. I mean,
and if I'm Cam, I'm not going to do it. If I'm Cam, honestly, I'm probably going to enjoy my money. I'm going to hang out, do things that make me happy, you know, and I'm going to roll on. And if there's a kid out there, or if there's a foundation out there that I think is worthwhile, maybe I give it a shot. Maybe I don't, you know. But to your point, if it goes left, I'm bouncing. I don't got to be here. I'm out.
It's an area I give him a lot of credit, because he does want to do this work in his communities.
Right.
So I give him a ton of credit for that. And admittedly,
well, you know what,
I'm not a huge Cam guy, but the fact
but you know what, but you know what I'm doing though, Bo? You know what I'm doing? I'm gonna have me a PR guy at these foundations that I'm helping out with, right? No, think about it. And he's gonna go out there and he's gonna say, look, due to recent activities that have happened at these other venues, this is what the expectation is. This is what you're going to get. If you can't control yourself, then you know, there's going to be a screening process, basically, is what I'm getting at, to who comes in, who doesn't come in, right? So you know that you're getting a good group of kids that aren't going to try to do something stupid.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I don't know that how you could really vet things in that way. But
I don't know either.
At the end of the day, like, the fact that the kids are showing up to an event like this and being disrespectful is crazy.
Oh, it is. But we also live in a self-entitled world now as well.
I mean, true. There's no doubt about that.
I agree. That's
and get away with it. Right. Paul, I agree with that. Absolutely, 100%. And maybe what needs to happen is they sign a contract or sign a documentation that says, hey, if you do something crazy, you know, you're going to have to pay X amount of dollars. I don't know if they can legally enforce something like that, or how that would come down, but there's got to be a contract or something that states, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you would do something like that, because are you actually going to prosecute that kid, right? Like, that gives you.
If he doesn't punch at me, I'm going. Well, it would be the kid, right? It would really be the parents, because you can't really go after a minor. But you can certainly go after the parents, right?
It would be the worst optics.
They'd
be like Cam Newton is suing this kid because he said something dumb. And
no, I don't think you sue over something. Like, I don't think. No, I'm talking about if the kids become physically violent. Like there's going to be, and I don't even think you need a contract for that. I think if they throw stuff out there, I think in the court of law you're going to win that, right? I mean, you're going.
Well, I think if somebody becomes physical, then if you want to press charges, you can do that anyway.
Well, I mean, because that's what happened in Atlanta. They became physical with them.
No,
right?
for sure. And I mean, like if he wanted to do something, I'm sure he can. There's video. So
Right. Well, not only that, but like think about that. Like he didn't throw a punch because the moment he throws a punch and it connects with anybody, oh, now you know. Now I'm suing.
Yeah.
I did all this to get you off to the point. I mean, that's part of what occurs here.
Yeah.
Like people,
I mean, he's literally in the same position as you are, Pags. When you're monetized for stuff and you're the one that throws it, they don't care about the other person. They care about the celebrity or whatever, and that's who's going to get it. And so, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and when you think of Cam, right, he had one of those moments, right? Like he came out and said something about one of the, women reporters, right? Because she asked him a question about routes, as I recall. And, he made a sexist comment at the time, and he immediately had sponsors drop him next day.
Well, it doesn't take much, right? I mean, literally, when you're monetized or you're a celebrity, it doesn't take much. One slip of the tongue, can cost you money, big time.
No, but that's exactly why you can't swing. Even if those kids are attacking you, like you can't swing on them.
Right. What was that one picture? Was it John Walker?
Unless they were coming in crazy, like really trying to throw haymakers, it looked more like it was just shoving whatever. But like if somebody was really trying to throw, then at some point, right, because you're outnumbered, you could swing. You probably won't actually get in trouble for that because at that point you are, in self-defense mode. But
that's true.
Optically, it won't be great.
What was the one picture down in Atlanta? I think it was John Rocker that had I don't know if he was going through a toll, but he was doing something and he said some words and then it became all over ESPN and then it became a big spectacle. Do y'all remember that? It was
like a racist. It was somewhat of a racist comment from what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, that one slip of the tongue on his part, it really put him in a bad light.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're dropping,
right. Comments, I mean, sometimes, and I don't condone any of this, but I know sometimes, when you're in the heat of something, your brain kind of shuts off and you're just in attack mode and you say things you don't necessarily mean or believe in. And sometimes in those moments, when you don't take that tactical pause, you can say things even if you don't mean it. And you've seen this several times, right? Where it happens and, you got to pay the price.
Yeah. No, I mean.
Time to be alive, man.
That's the thing is if you're in front of the cameras, your accountability goes way up.
Right. I think of, and not to get biblical, but if I was an agent for a client, I'd be like, look, brother, I'm not trying to be biblical here. But there is one scripture. This is one scripture in the Bible. It says, it's James 1:19. It says, slow to anger, slow to speak, and quick to listen. If you can follow that philosophy in your sports career, you will probably keep yourself 9 times out of 10 from saying something that's going to get you in trouble or cost you some dollars.
Well, I would say that none of his camps are embodying that little phrase. So,
but you know what though? But that's that phrase is very. I mean, it holds a lot of water, man. Like if you can implode that, you can save yourself a lot of heartache, especially when you're trying to get advertisement dollars.
Sure, of course.
Crazy.
What I don't understand is why are they going there? I mean, it feels like they're going and doing these camps specifically to talk smack.
Well, no, that's the thing is they are. And that's what doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Isn't that what athletes do? They always talk smack from high school, hell, even at Pee Wee level all the way up. It's always talking smack at some level.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't hit you until you get to the college or college or NFL level that the smack can come back on you.
I mean, the thing that doesn't make sense, I mean, because that's exactly right, is it does look like they're going to these things just to do that. But I don't know. Our generations is different in the way that if somebody has achieved something you want to achieve, you generally try and listen to how it is they got there. You don't usually try and run your mouth and completely discredit the entire thing that you signed up to do.
Right. Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. It seems to be a thing now, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, everybody's looking for the 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Used to be 15 minutes. Now it's 15 seconds.
You know what's better than 15 seconds of fame? Actually getting to the NFL. You know, actually learning something in that situation.
God knows how hard it is even just to get there.
That's kind of what goes on with me. Like, I love talking smack. I love, and people laugh at me all the time. They're always yelling at me like, because I say, when I do my videos, every video I do, I don't talk bad about the other team. I talk about how we're going to beat them. We're going to send them packing, like the Sea Chickens are going back home and crying because we're going to beat them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's same thing. The cowgirls, the cow plops are going to, definitely.
We prefer to be cow gender fluid.
That makes sense. What? That actually tracks.
That might be a whole thing. I might make a whole thing of
that. That tells me so much more about the Cowboys than I ever thought I needed.
Hey, listen, Sea Chicken. Don't make me come make a Cornish game hen out of you.
Hey, you're the one that offered that T-ball shot up.
It's okay. Look, man, it's all. Look, that's the thing about you. Hey, look, honestly, I said that to say this. You got to have fun with sports, man. Yes, you're going to talk, but the minute you run, and that's the thing, the minute you run out of content is when things go personal. Would you agree? Like, when you don't have nothing else left to say, what's the last thing you have left? Go after the person personally. That's all you got.
That's absolutely what happens in banter. Yeah. It's when there have been certain people that I've known who can undress another person down without cursing, without doing, just be able to say certain words that make them look infinitesimally small. And when you get that, like me, if somebody was to do that to me, I'm like, wow, good work. I ain't got nothing to say. You know what I mean? Yeah. I actually respect that. If you could say something to me that I can't respond to, then I'm just like, all right, you win.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're just like up top. That was a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal that for later. You know what I mean?
A lot from a person to get to a level where they can have that level of respect. Not everybody, has that ability to recognize that. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I totally get that.
So, but that's what happens.
Right here. Like, Alec, he's like, you beat each other up and then go have a beer. And it's weird that it's gotten away from that.
Well, people start looking at these teams like they're a mom, and they have to defend their honor. I don't ever, like I said, they don't pay me enough money to care about the losses enough.
Yeah, Jerry clearly doesn't take my feelings into consideration every damn time he wants to screw up the coaching elements. So, yeah. I guarantee you that Jerry doesn't care that Jason's going to have to live with my decision that I'm going to make amongst other sports people. So I'm going to screw Jason in every which way I can, and I'm going to do this, and he's just going to have to suck it up and buttercup it. That's what Jason does. I suck it up and buttercup it.
It's weird because, like, for me, I love getting beers with fans of other teams.
Yeah,
because I like the banter. I encourage, I think it's fun.
Yeah,
right?
I get that. Yeah, I totally get that.
But it's why I will sit, like, when I go to a game, I will always try and sit in a spot where I know I'm going to be surrounded by opposing fans, because I want to chirp during the game because it's fun, whether we win or lose. Like, I'm going to be chirping, during the game. But what it never is personal. Like, I'm going to
exactly. But you know what though? But that's what I learned. And Pags, I think you'll relate to this, because when you were in the Navy and I was in the Navy, you're on a boat with people from all over the freaking United States. And when you're down in that little berthing compartment and you're watching on them blue tile and you're watching that game up there on that little 19, 22-inch TV, whatever they can afford to give you, and everybody's watching, and you're chirping back and forth amongst people from all over the damn place. Pags, you know what I'm talking about. It can get exciting and fun all at the same time. It's crazy.
Right. Of course.
Crazy. And when the Cowboys were winning back in the 90s, when I was in that El Bertho, you better believe I was a king dog. Couldn't nobody tell me shit. God forbid if I went on that ship now, I'd have to hide.
It's went a weird way, but okay.
But yes, that's exactly it. Like I said, if we all like the same team, we'd have nothing to talk about, really.
You're right. Yeah. Or it would just be so one-sided that I like when the juices get pumping. When you're bantering between other people, it makes it. Bo, I'm right there with you. It just makes it fun. Yeah. Everybody's on the same side. Because God forbid if our team loses, we went from all excited to everybody's just. So it's just not as much fun. I don't know. I like it. I like the bantering.
I'm not sure what you're recruit for what.
I'm no
not
idea.
sure what you're talking about, Brad.
Yeah, you may want to rephrase that question, put some more subject matter in.
I need a little context there.
A little content.
There we go.
What a time to be alive.
Exactly.
What a time to be alive when a Cowboys person's probably need more content.
So, ultimately, so since you've been on, we've talked about Wemby and we've talked about Cam and all this other stuff. I'm trying to see if there was anything else that's going on here. Everybody's getting ready for the Masters. Do you guys follow golf at all?
No.
The only thing I have learned about golf for the last 3 or 4 days was the fact that Tiger Woods' son didn't make the cut. That's the only thing I was tracking on that level.
Oh, trying to recruit Snead.
Okay.
And do you guys have any feeling about the fact that the United States women's national team in soccer lost to Mexico's national team?
No, I kind of assumed they were going to be a little they weren't going to be as good as they were last time. Just because they had a couple of their key players retire, right? So not a big shock.
That's the other thing. Okay, here's something that they reduced the pitch clock again. So instead of 20 seconds between pitches with a guy on base, it's now 18 seconds. They took 2 seconds off of the clock.
Okay, if you want to take 2 seconds off the clock, I mean, that does affect, but I don't really think that affects much because in some cases, there were pitchers that felt it was so long between, or batters that felt it was so long in between the pitches because they had, 20 seconds? So I think 18 seconds.
They have to be in the box. They have to be in the box with 8 seconds left. So,
which is really the only thing that matters.
Looking at the pitcher.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, they're talking about the fact that this could be an injury situation. That by having to do this, and they lowering it that extra 2 seconds, especially out of the stretch, which is typically what would happen because you have guys that are on base now. That you are more likely to throw your arm out, and that they are expecting, because of this extra 2 seconds, that there will be a little bit of a jump in Tommy John surgeries that occur.
Really? That's interesting.
There's an injury epidemic in the game regardless of velocity. If anything, the rule is making rule changes despite an injury epidemic that could very well be encouraging injuries, such as the pitch clock, limiting the number of pitchers on the roster, how many pitching changes you can make, how many mound visits you can make. All these things are making pitching harder and potentially making health and more difficult to manage.
Yeah, we talked about that. I talked about that with Logan not too long ago on the show. We were talking about the effects of a shortened spring training, and I told him I hated it. And then I wish I'd go back to the way it used to be because I felt like last year was a perfect indicator. Look at the first part of the season. all the pitchers and stuff that went down with injuries, DeGrom, Scherzer. I mean, down the list you want to go. They were all over the place. And I felt like, with the shorter spring training, the conditioning, the timing, the chemistry, you lose so much of that I really think it hurts baseball. I would rather see them have a longer spring training. And if you want to cut some games off the tail end of the season, okay, do it that direction. But those guys need that time, especially pitchers mostly. They need that time to get their bodies ready to go those long pitch counts week in and week out,
I look at it as that. So they did that to try to give more time off, more days off each month. That's why they're shortening up. Because it does seem like baseball starting earlier and earlier, and you never used to start it in March, and now it's starting in March.
Right.
Like the fact that our season starts March 28th. It always used to be April 4th or something like that.
It was the first week of April.
Yeah, but now they're giving, for instance, the month of May, we've got 4 days off. The month of June, we have 4 days off. July, 4 days off. Actually, 5 days off because of the All-Star break. August.
You think they're implementing that to potentially accommodate their expansion that's coming? Because they're creating gaps that will ultimately get filled with the new games that end up getting brought in?
Oh,
I don't know. It's going to be new games. Like, I think that you have time off. Like, the schedule's still got to make it with time off. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, it's obviously the season now ends this year in September.
TV contracts for the longer season, because those games that'll be days off. There will be games. There will ultimately end up being games if they add 2 or 4 more teams, right? You'll still end up with teams with these gaps, but those gaps will ultimately get filled back in when they bring in the new teams. But I think it might be setting the precedent for their extending the length of the season a little bit.
God,
I don't know that they're doing that because, like I said, that the season ends this year for the Phillies on September 29th. So it actually ends before October.
That's interesting. Yeah, because it hasn't done that in a while.
And is that because? Well, obviously, I guess it's because of the shorter spring training. But I don't like that, Pags. I don't like that shit at all. That's why Luis Garcia went down with Tommy John in the first. I think it was the first 2 months of the season. He goes down, and that's one of our best pitchers. We lost him because of that. I just don't think that pitchers are getting the conditioning time against real pitchers or real batters in real seasons before we go into the regular season. I'm not a fan of that.
I mean, all the sports are doing that, though. We're seeing.
But it doesn't make it right. I mean, I get they're all doing it, but it doesn't make it right that they're doing it because not all sports are equal, or not all sports are the same, right?
No, I'm not saying I like it. I actually dislike it. I like a little bit longer practice or preseason period because you see a better game when the regular season comes.
And it really hurts those new managers, though, doesn't it? When you shorten that conditioning time, those spring trainings or spring camps, it really hurts those new coaches because they're not able to get, in my opinion, you can't develop your full philosophy in your team, in that short little tiny window, because you got to figure, you got to evaluate people. I mean, there's so many things going on that you're missing stuff. You're lacking in stuff. You're lacking in areas that could have been beneficial in the season. And this is your career on the line. And that's why I will say this, and I noticed this and I saw this the other day when the Astros were playing 2 games at the same time. And I'm like, what's going on with that? And I looked at it, and it was one had most of the starters in the first game. And the second game that was going on simultaneously was just nothing but farm guys. It was a straight farm team going at it. And I'm guessing it's farm team versus farm team. And I kind of get that because maybe it does give you a little bit more, way to evaluate. But I don't think you're getting the good evaluation because farm versus farm, you see that all the time. I would like to see farm versus regular players or professional players to see if they can compete at that next level. So I think you're kind of losing that. And I think that's the problem I have with the shorter spring training is, number one, when our starters do go down, we haven't evaluated the guy coming up to replace him long enough to see if he's going to be able to handle it versus the other guy I got in the farm system who I could have possibly brought up. So I think we're losing a lot of evaluation time of rookies when you shorten those camps the way you shorten them, which I don't like at all.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with the NFL, right? Like that week 1 became a preseason game because the gameplay was terrible.
Right.
And it's because in the OTAs and preseason, like they're not allowed to hit, right? Like they're not allowed to actually really practice. So it's and you're seeing you're going to see similar stuff. You're going to see a lot more errors and stuff in the beginning of the year if you're not getting some of that spring training done. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's just kind of how all the leagues are going. I particularly don't like it because I want to see professionals look like professionals week 1. I don't want to see them coming out trying to remember how to play the sport.
Because you do see, like in football, you see a lot of false starts and offsides, by the rookies. They haven't had enough time to develop that chemistry with the unit they're in.
A lot of offensive line holding.
Yes.
In the beginning. Because they're not getting.
Absolutely. Because you're not getting that developmental technique time in
to
really evaluate them and see what they're doing or not doing or find out what their weaknesses are, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't get to practice in real speed. You're not doing it, for very long. Like when it comes to preseason, one of the most important position groups is the offensive line.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you're going to run into similar things in baseball though, right? Like you're going to have some fielding issues because again, you had the off season and then you had a shorter preseason and that's it.
Right. Because if you don't have a good offensive line, not only hurting the offense, but you're hurting the defense because that means you're not getting the first downs, which then puts the defense on the field a lot more often probably than what they want to be. I mean, that offensive line, you're right. It is absolutely critical, to the team, not only to the quarterback success, but the running back success and the defense. I mean, everybody's success really does ride pretty heavily on that offensive line.
Of course. Yeah. Anytime you see a bad offensive line, the team doesn't generally do well.
You're right. Absolutely. What a time to be alive.
Tell me about it. And Brad, the NHL playoffs starts middle of April.
Yep.
Right after the last game of the season.
Wow.
And welcome to the Hater Show.
Exactly.
By the way, it's April 1st. If you're not tracking, April 1st will be that day.
Fantastic.
And I tell you, it's like I'm going to go to the Flyers game tonight, and I'm trying to get my back a little loose. And
you want to work there? Crutches? How are we doing it?
Yeah, Philly sports guy does not use a crutch.
He rolls in on an electric one.
Yeah, I would actually like wrap my back. Like I was thinking about maybe doing that, like getting that tape that actually does so, like, because you'd have to cross it over and stuff like that, so that it would actually protect my back some, so that I could do whatever. But yeah, it's.
Hey, Bo, do you want to put money line now? What's the money line that Pax goes back 10 times worse come tomorrow? What's the money line on that?
Going to the game, I don't feel like it'd be too bad. I don't feel like that'd be too bad because you're going to be moving around the whole time.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Well, he ain't moving around all the time. I promise. Well, I don't know, Pags. I mean, maybe you have recovered. You're doing. If you're really that much better, you're doing way better than I did because I did not.
Well, no, listen. I also stretch nonstop. Like since this has occurred, I have put my back through pain. Like I'm dealing with the pain by putting it through pain. It's like, oh, okay, I'm stretching it out. I'm just like literally, like even as I'm sitting here.
The question is good for sure. For sure.
You know,
absolutely.
I started to use the ice. I started to use the heat. Say again.
Did you get the magic peanut? Did you roll around on the balls and everything and get it all worked out?
No. No peanuts.
You didn't go home and roll around on the balls?
I'm nuts enough, thank you. No peanuts, no balls.
By the way, if you're a peanut person, we and you want to advertise, we will take that endorsement.
No, they actually are a really good, a really good thing. but
Reese,
Yeah,
we are not. We will endorse you. Come on.
I started. I actually asked my brother, who also has had uh, real bad back issues, and he was like, "Yeah, do the 20 minutes on, heat, cold,
Yeah.
none, heat,
I mean, it does help.
cold,
The heat and the
none."
cold does help. Yeah.
So, and like I said, when I did the shower today, and I was like, I just let it run the hot on my back. I was like, yeah, that's
I'm just trying to tell you, every doctor that I've ever been to in my entire life with back issues, they always say the number one thing for help is rest. Just rest. But stretching is a good thing as well. I think there is benefit in that.
Rest.
yeah. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You know what I mean? It's what I do. I'm just nonstop going. It's like that's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continually fight the fight. So
yeah.
And in the meantime, just put a pillow on my back. That's what it is.
But I mean, like inflammation, it's just one of those things that it just needs its time to go down, and the more it goes down, the more you're going to get that flexibility back. You're going to be able to do the left and the right turns, So, but be careful too, though, Pax. Because I'm telling you, as much as you're putting your body through pain, if you go the wrong way one more time, you can actually hurt yourself too. So, and I really say that for people that are out there that are maybe dealing with that, you got to be careful. Do with what you can within your limit, but don't go beyond that limit because you can actually do more damage to yourself than what you're actually trying to accomplish.
Also, to protect the show, be sure to check with a physician before you take any advice from our channel.
Yeah. I am not a doctor, and I tell that all the time. Like, well, what do you think I should do here? I think you should go see a doctor.
100%. Please don't sue the show.
and I'll tell you, I put that into practice. Actually, yesterday I showed my wife something. I said, "What do you think I should do about this?" She said, "Well, number one, don't touch me, and number two, go see a doctor." So
yeah, don't touch me again. Ever.
Don't touch me and go see a doctor.
Yep.
I'd expect nothing less. So
that's what she said.
Especially the first one.
So, well, listen, guys. Tomorrow Bo will not be with us. Bo will be en route to Hawaii.
I will be on the plane
in the Phillies.
So
I am excited about it because I'm feeling far more pale than I have been in a couple of years now. So, not a fan. Don't particularly like it. So I'm ready to hang out with the sun.
And let's be honest, Bo. And I know the light kind of dims people's complexions and things like that because Pax tells me all the time that he actually has an olive skin, but he looks white as a ghost to me on TV. I got to imagine, but you're going to make sure you got your SPF 15. Make sure you got all your stuff out there because you're going to be
15.
Like, is it 160 nowadays? Is it 160, 150? Okay, maybe I was wrong.
50.
It's funny because I don't burn. So,
you got that good skin.
I do. Yeah.
I love when guys say that. I tell you, I'm Italian, and I say I don't burn, except I burn once, and then I don't burn anymore. So, like when I go down to Florida, I'm going to burn.
I'll turn pink day one. I'll turn pink, and then that'll be it.
Really? Because I go pink and red at all hell breaks loose, and I can't move muscle. I don't know how you walk away with that.
I don't get any of that. I don't get any of that.
God. I wish I could live life like that.
I'll get burnt, and it'll hurt for like a day, and then I'm fine, and then I'll just get very, 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 very dark.
Well, just out of curiosity, I know Pags is Italian. Bo, are you enjoying some of that Italian blood as well, or
I'm a mix. Like I am 100% mutt. Like.
Because maybe I was thinking that might be an Italian thing where they just don't burn like that. I don't know.
The olive skin thing is a real thing. My wife's Italian, like that.
Okay,
that's a real thing. For me, I just I also get dark over time, and I actually don't even get that initial like burn. I'll just get pink. It won't hurt or anything.
But you know what? Though?
And then from there, I'll just start getting darker and darker.
You know, one thing though, and I know you guys don't burn. But one thing I know is for sure, man, that SPF 150, whatever it is now, they got 160, 70. I know the number keeps getting higher, it seems. Is a lot of people will put it on there to prevent the sunburn, but I think the biggest attribute to it is to help make sure you don't get that skin cancer. I've had a couple of my friends over this last few months that I've seen on Facebook come down with skin cancer. So make sure you guys, and Bo, really, man, make sure you put your stuff on, man, because I'd hate to see you guys get into that group.
Yep.
German and Indian.
Mama says German and Indian, and I am of the same. I am of the same way, Paul. Except I don't have any Greek in me. I'm just Italian, and like I said, when I was working out there and on chimneys and stuff like that, I would be really dark, like just really dark. It would be
interesting.
Interesting.
Two trivia questions. I asked Mac this, and Mac didn't know the answer. I thought it was kind of funny as a boxer guy as Mac is. Does anybody know what Rocky Balboa's first name was? I want to give you time to think about that one. If you don't know, it's okay. Nobody knows. Okay, his first name was Robert. Robert Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Only here can you get trivia.
Trivia facts.
Never thought about.
Yeah, and the other question, as I said, I had two, and it also involves Sylvester. It involves Sylvester Stallone. Who else was of Indian and German descent? Since your mother pointed out that clearly Bo is of Indian and German descent, who else is of Indian and German descent?
Probably a couple million people.
Probably. But who is the most famous person? And it's a movie character. What movie character?
John Rambo.
Damn right, all day, Scooby. John Rambo.
There you go.
Rambo. Remember, in Rambo: First Blood, when he gets put into the little jail cell and the guy's typing, and he goes, and he got his little dog tags. Indian and German descent. That's a hell of a combination.
Did not
useless information.
To be fair, it's been a minute since I've watched the original.
It was so good.
Yeah, it's probably been a solid decade.
Yeah, and I thought you meant the Sylvester Stallone movie where he said, "Stop or my mom will shoot." Yes, that is a Sylvester Stallone movie that probably nobody's ever seen.
Yeah, no, that is a real movie.
Yeah.
And if you remember when you tuned into this show, that was absolutely about nothing. We had a long conversation about Sylvester Stallone and his movies. We realized that Sylvester Stallone goes back to damn near almost 1969, but he was doing cameos, or I guess what wasn't even cameo. What do they call them when you just get a small part?
Skinemax.
Yep.
Skinemax. There you go. When he was doing Skinemax.
You definitely bring a weird element to a sports show.
Exactly. All about the soft porn.
We're over here talking about sports. You're bringing up 1960s fuzzy TV. Just over there trying to catch a boob in the Wiggles.
Hey, whoa. Rocky was a sport. That was boxing, sir. Boxing.
Yeah, I ask Rocky questions. I ask Rocky questions when I do my trivia. So I'll have like a bunch of different ones.
Well, now you got one more to ask. Ask him who his first name was and see how many people know that Robert was Rocky's actual first name.
I don't even know that that's a real thing.
No, it's a real thing.
I'm going to Google that right now.
Google it, please. And then when you find that Jay McLovin is correct, I want full credit.
Be like, all right, Jay knows how to use Google. All right.
You say like that's an easy thing, but yes, Jay doesn't know how to use Google. I really, you know what? Hey,
Rocky Balboa is a fictional character.
Thank you.
There you go.
There you go. See, now you got another quiz line that you can ask somebody.
That is, random.
What was
random fake fact?
What was? Here you go. Here you go. What was his wife's maiden name?
Fuck me. That's a good one.
I'm guessing it's not that.
Give me about 20 seconds. Can I get 20 seconds?
It's you're never going to get it. But that would also be that because realistically, that would also be Paulie's name. What is Paulie's last name?
God. Oh, that's such a good one. Can I get a first letter? Can I just get a first letter?
Do you need to
P.
phone a friend?
P.
Paulino?
Huh?
I said Paulino, but I know it's not it. God, what? Okay,
you were close. It's Penino. It's Penino, but I know you're looking at it. Yeah, he's got the Google thing, the
No,
voice
literally,
search.
I don't. If you look at my phone, it's black as well. Now, not because I touched it, but no, it just has that. I looked at literally nothing. That's how good I am. I'm that good.
Yeah, you didn't have to look at your phone. You just have a split screen on your monitor.
Exactly. That's what I was figuring.
I can't tell you. Well, either way, hey, this is where you get some Rocky knowledge. We're talking some Rocky stuff.
When the news on sports is tough, we bring it all. You know,
By
we
the way,
got it
rest
all
in
for
peace,
you.
Apollo. Rest in peace. Jesus. Already.
There you go.
There you go. So
If
there's
he dies, he dies. Anyway, and that's the end of our show. We are at the top of the hour. We could go an extra 4 minutes, but we want to save some for later. So
we couldn't go.
Bo, have a safe trip.
Wow.
Bo, have a safe trip in Hawaii. From coast to coast to your friend who's getting married. Damn, really? You're really gonna take that dumb plunge? Like, come on! I've lived that long and never been married before. You've been married twice. Jay, well,
twice.
Jay just keeps her in the house because he knows if she lets her leave, she'll never come back. So
ankle monitors are a great thing.
Oh, is that why you go to the grocery store? You're afraid she's gonna go to get milk?
Exactly. Never come back. Like, she's missing. She just don't want to make it back.
That's why she goes with the ankle monitor. I track her everywhere.
Yep. But yeah, right on, guys. I will see you in a week, and then I will randomly check in from the beach and chuckle a little bit.
Send us those videos. Make sure they're long versions so that we can get it on the screen fully, rather than so that we could get like a 5-minute video, like twice or 3 times, gives me that break that I need so that I don't have to talk to Jay all of the time.
We don't want that, Bo. Bo, we don't want that. Bo, we don't want that. We don't want that. I'm literally riding on the edge of my fingertips even to stay on this show. We don't want that, Bo. I'm trying to stay here. Okay?
So basically, you need like a couple just throughout.
Can we sprinkle it?
Exactly.
Can we sprinkle it? And Bo, koa beads.
Yep. Nope. I got you.
God, what a time to be alive. How do you know you got a good friend in Bo, man?
Right. And on that note, it's time to go. So everybody, thank you very much for hanging with us. Thanks for all the messages here, and we will be back tomorrow. At least 2 of us. Hopefully, Jay will show up on time, because it'll be tough for me to do the show by myself, especially with a bad back. But maybe he'll show up on time like he normally does when he needs to. So that being said, everybody, thank you very much, and we will see you mañana.